My exposure to business leaders around the world suggests to me that we have very, very similar problems, and very, very similar challenges, and require very, very similar approaches. Cultures are different everywhere, but most of what makes a business run well is similar. But that's not the case for us in South Africa. We have two massive obligations here, which every businessman has to take account of. The first, of course, is the apartheid legacy and our obligation to try and transform the society. That brings with it a whole raft of responsibilities in business that most countries don't have to deal with. We don't just have to bring people up an educational path and teach them about the craft of the business. We have to help them develop the self-esteem that was completely wiped out by apartheid. So that, I think, requires a certain kind of a leadership and sensitivity, and at the same time, I think, a moral and a financial commitment. We see, as I speak to you, turmoil in the country around education and tertiary education, and I think that that's absolutely appropriate, and I think that the students have got every right to wave the flag or wave the banner. I'm convinced that trying to develop people at a tertiary level is part of the solution to our country. And if we think about it, those students that are already in university are not that far away from becoming really productive, educated workers in the workplace. So that's not a 20-year problem. If we could get all of those students that are on the street today through their tertiary degree in the next 3 or 4 years, we've got a whole new workforce ready for us to use. So I think it's a critically important thing. I think we're at a seminal point in our history, and we have to pay attention to that. I think much of the onus falls on the government, because essentially we've doubled the student population over the last few years with very little increase in the subsidies from the government, and therefore the subsidy per student has fallen. We can't say that should necessarily all be replaced by the private sector, because most companies invest a huge amount of money in developing people. Our bill this year will be well over 300 million rand going into educating people. We produce 1,000 apprentices a year out of our company. So that happens. At the middle levels it happens as well, and at the top level. So companies are investing, the private sector is investing. I think one of the gaps in the education system today in South Africa is that we do not have an alumni group that donates to its universities. And that's because we still have people coming through our universities who are not established in their own right, and therefore aren't in a position to give away money to the university. But with the international universities I'm involved with, I know that the monies that come from alumni are considerable. So a difficult time right now. Education is our biggest single problem, and we ignore what's happening today at our peril. The business environment today is difficult in South Africa. We've got a relatively slow growth, and we've got an employment problem. So it's always possible in any environment for any small business to start up, to find a niche and to grow. But for large businesses to grow further in South Africa becomes a challenge. As one starts to, the larger one is as a company, the more one's performance will approximate the GDP of the country. And so when growth is slow, it's difficult to grow. And I think more and more businesses on that basis are looking to Africa. South Africans are generally comfortable in Africa. We grow our businesses well. We've grown a 10.5 billion rand business in the last 4 years in Africa, and beyond those borders. And so our company, for example, is operating in Europe as well. I think it's important for me to stress that we are not running away from South Africa. We are saying that we've got such big market shares in our two major areas of business, which is motor vehicles and logistics, that it would be hard to grow those market shares in a slow growth economy.